Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. This past year, one of the most frequently researched terms on Google was, how do I find my purpose? So I want to take some time to talk about our sense of purpose, why it is that so many of us feel like we don't have one, what it might even look like to have discovered our purpose, and what's going on with everyone's drive to have a clear-cut and definitive answer to something as profound as a sense of purpose in our lives. So I think we've all been told and we understand on an intuitive level that having a purpose in our lives is important, and it's the meaning behind everything. It's why we do everything. It should be our drive, right? It should be the thing that guides all of our actions. Many of us in the Western Hemisphere, anyway, have associated our purpose with our vocation, and we think that our job is our calling or the purpose in our life. So that's a difficulty that we definitely deal with. The purpose in just existing is a question that I think we all face at varying points in our lives. And I think it's also true that that purpose evolves and it changes and it shifts through time. And we have trouble with that. We want there to be one answer or a simple answer. I think religion tries to solve this as well and says, your purpose is to be kind to one another and to, serve a greater good, serve God, serve this greater purpose. And all of us want to be special. We want our purpose to be felt a little bit more than that. We want it to come from within ourselves. And when we feel cut off from having that meaning, having that connection, we do feel lost and we feel stressed out and just alone. So here are some thoughts on finding purpose in our life and what can that look like? What does it mean? And some ways to be kind with ourselves about it, because I really do believe that this is going to be an ever-evolving situation for everyone. We are not static beings. The purpose that we have as a child is different from the purpose that we have as like a young adult, different to the purpose we have like in our productive lives and our jobs. It's different to the purpose that we have in our relationships, our purpose later in life. Like, it's going to shift and change. I think it has some overlap with our values, right? The things that we really value and honor in life and how well we align with them. So I would say finding our purpose in practice likely has a lot to do with really understanding what we value and getting into greater alignment with that more and more of the time, as much as we're able to. When we are achieving that, when we have things that we believe in and that we care about, and we're acting in accordance with that, and we're not putting it on the back burner, we're not delaying it, we're not denying that those things are important, we tend to feel very fulfilled. We find meaning in what we're doing, and that feels purposeful. Honestly, I think that's like the shortest, clearest answer I could come up with. And yet, so many of us feel so cut off from what are we supposed to do. And I think this comes from feeling like no matter how hard we work, no matter what we focus on, no matter what we put our finite energy toward, we don't necessarily feel like it's making an impact or making a difference. And I think that's something that we all desire. We want to see that our work and our efforts have had purpose. We see that through results and through the effect that we have on the outside world. And if we start seeing a lack of that impact, if we feel like we're ineffective at our lives, it feels futile. It feels like everything that we're putting all of our precious energy towards has been a waste. And I think that's really the heart of the desperation that people have when we're saying, gosh, I just wish I knew what my purpose was. It's that we're feeling like whatever we're doing isn't very fulfilling. Why isn't it fulfilling? And I think this comes back to, are we even in touch with what's important to us? And the answer in some cases is no, not really, because we have to survive. A lot of times we make decisions in life because we have to, not because we got to sit around and contemplate and just wonder what would be fun and then do that. I mean, that would be amazing, but I don't know very many people who just started life being able to twiddle their thumbs and wonder about life and continue to do that all the way through their adulthood and beyond. Almost everyone has to at some point make decisions that are about sustaining life, sustaining their life, and continuing to support themselves and other people in their lives. And we believe or are told that, is our purpose. Our purpose is to help uphold others, for sure. And we do it. And then at the end, sometimes we feel slighted by this, that we've put in a lot of hard work and effort and we still don't feel good. And perhaps we're mistaking that having a purpose will make us feel good all the time. So that's another question to ponder. Is having a purpose equivalent with always feeling good about the actions that we're taking in the world and always enjoying our experience of it? And I would say that that's a misconception. I don't think that feeling good is possible or even desirable for 100% of our existence. Nothing would happen. Like, we would never want to do anything if we always felt great, in the same way that when we feel horrible all the time, we don't want to do anything. So there needs to be this fluctuation, and we need to experience these ups and downs of feeling good, feeling bad, feeling like we're effective, noticing that we're ineffective. And that's what causes us to change and shift and grow and push for better. Perhaps that's where purpose lies, right? Is finding the way to have forward momentum, finding the way to be sustainable through an entire lifetime. Like, what a challenge to be able to find what drives us for more than just, a finite moment, but what drives us through an entire lifetime. And once again, I'd say, how can we possibly think that it's going to always be the same thing? I don't know that it can. I think what drove me as a kid is not what drives me now. I think a lot of adults spend a lot of time in their adulthood trying to undo what drove them as kids and, quote unquote, find a healthier way of interacting with life, because we do recognize that so many of the ways that we interact and involve ourselves with the world are responses to things that went well or didn't go well, a lot of things that didn't go well earlier on in life. And we draw conclusions about it, and then we construct our whole lives trying to avoid those feelings or situations again, and we do what works. And even when we don't like what we're doing, we have to admit that at least it's gotten us here. It's gotten us this far, so it has worked in terms of survival. But we're humans. And we want more. We want more than that. We want a freaking purpose. We want our lives to be meaningful. And I think we want them to be meaningful more than just in our brief lifetime. I think so many of us, there's this human longing for an impact that ripples out through the generations. We want to be remembered 1,000 years from now. And most of us recognize that we probably won't, and that makes us sad. And there is sadness in that. We want more. We want to be timeless. And I think that's part of human nature, is this desire to expand beyond ourselves, to be felt well beyond our own experience, and to be important beyond just our day-to-day moments. And we want that impact to be good. And what we define as good is probably going to be different from person to person and culture to culture. But we all want that. That is a human need, to be important, to make a difference, to change something. We love to change things. Isn't that interesting? Finding purpose is a lot of self-discovery. And I think for human beings, the social creatures that we are, it's always in relationship to others. It's in relationship to the planet. It's in relationship to ourselves, in relationship to our families. It's in relationship to communities, to animals. Like, we just want to have our influence felt. But because we're so obsessed with that, I think we often miss how much we really are felt in our lives. I've often had this conversation with friends, trying to locate just how much impact we really are having, and to notice more often the small and subtle things that are around us every day. And the more present we allow ourselves to become, and by the way, I think this is why meditation has taken off so much in the last several years, is that people are starting to recognize that being more present is healing. It's healing because we're actually able to notice what the fuck's going on instead of just barreling through life, never touching it. We need to learn to slow down enough to touch what's actually existing right now and stop worrying about, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years from now in our personal, grander sense, and recognize how much of an impact our actions right now are being felt, rippled out through our space, and then from our space beyond that. Because then you can actually feel how that impact ripples out over 100 years. It's weird. It's like you can understand it better if you can sit like a rock and just be with your own presence and what's actually going on, to recognize and slow down enough to go, do I really need to be doing X, Y, or Z? Do I need to buy this other thing? What is it that I'm actually really after, and what is its impact? We can find it really overwhelming because there's such a barrage of things coming in all the time. Buy this, do that, sign up for this, join this program, buy this new bedspread. Like, there's just so many things, and we think that it's going to make us happier or be the kind of person that we want to be. But I think deep down, what we really want is to just feel connected and safe existing. And maybe that really is the purpose of life, right? Is to just be okay existing. Existing is the purpose. You're already there. You're already doing it. We want it to be more than that. And so if we have these lofty ambitions of having a positive impact, I think that's where we get complicated, right? We define what we think our impact has to be, and then we tie it to our purpose and being. I enjoy letting people off the hook and saying, maybe just existing is okay. Maybe just, the fact that you're alive is a miracle, and it's kind of cool, and it might be okay to just have fun with that and recognize here you are, and be amazed more often and find the wonder that things exist. Like, we're even able to perceive all this stuff. It's pretty incredible. And we are here, relatively speaking, for such a brief time. Why not actually be here instead of always thinking off into other times and dimensions and places that don't even necessarily exist yet or ever, or spending so much time rehashing our past? I mean, we give ourselves crazy mental gymnastics over what everything means, but maybe it's just a psychosis of humanity. Oh, friends, that thought derailed itself and got a little bit sad. What does it mean to have your purpose in life? I could give you the cliches. The purpose is to be kind. The purpose is to help others. But truly, we're social. Like, human beings are social. We're listening to podcasts because we want to hear a human voice, because we want to hear other people's thoughts and we want it to match our own thoughts. What if the purpose is simply to just be present and get connected, however that is, to connect to a plant, to the dirt, to the person next door, to your kids, to your wife, to your husband, to your socks, like whatever it is. Just actually be there and appreciate it. I would like that to be the purpose. That feels pretty nice. What do you think the purpose of life is? How do you set about finding your purpose? Are you really caught up believing that your purpose is the thing that you choose to do that makes you money? Do you believe that it's completely about what you offer others emotionally? Do you believe that it's about making an impact that's more planetary centered? I'm really curious to know, because I believe there's going to be as many different answers as there are human beings on this planet. Sending you all so much love, pondering all of the questions and feeling all of the feels. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.